Hey guys, this is Alex from the Always Football Podcast. Um, Today I am going to be hosting the show by myself. Cameron is unavailable for right now. Unfortunately, you should be hearing from him for our Sunday night football primetime preview. But that's all right. For this one, it's just going to be me. Um, I'm going to discuss similar to last week. I'm going to go over the same exact things we went over last week. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about Thursday night's game between the Washington football team and the New York Giants, and then I'm going to give my predictions for our Week 2 matchups. And man, we got a good batch of matchups for Week 2. So yeah, that's what we're going to get into. I'm going to get right into talking about the Thursday night football game. What a game that was, huh? We're talking about a division matchup. It's one of the worst divisions in football, if we're just talking sensibly here. But regardless, what a game. You had Taylor Heinicke step in for his third career start, and he looked incredible once again. He's continuing to build his legendary status in Washington. So that was pretty incredible. I've been talking to a lot of Washington fans, and they're super psyched about having Heinicke as their starting quarterback going for the next few weeks with Fitzpatrick out and possibly into the future. It might be a little overhyped, obviously, because he is a new starting quarterback or whatever. But, yeah, a lot of Washington fans are very excited for him. But, man, he put together an awesome game, awesome final drive. But Giants, obviously, not too shabby of a game either. They did put 29 points on the board themselves, and that had a lot to do with Daniel Jones. I've been a big fan of Daniel Jones since his rookie year, unlike a lot of people. Um, yes, people, obviously people were saying, oh, pick Haskins, whatever. Obviously, that did not work out. Daniel Jones was the right choice in that situation, and he's proven that. He's been really, really pretty good this year. He hasn't really turned the ball over much, and uh, dare I say, he's been carrying this team. Obviously he's throwing the ball. He's doing pretty good out there, regardless of the whole altercation between him and Kenny Golladay. But he's been throwing the ball pretty well. He's not been turning the ball over, like I said. He's been, finding his reads and everything. He's going through his progression somewhat. He's still got to work on staring down the rifle of his gun. He does that quite a bit. He does just stare at a receiver and then throws it, and that could get him into trouble, like it has in the past. But this year, it's not been too much of a problem. And then the unsung part of his game really is the run game. He's been leading. He's led the offense, I believe, the last 2 weeks in rushing yards. Saquon has been he's not been Saquon. He looks really rusty coming off that injury. And yet, overall, Daniel Jones has just been really carrying this Giants offense. There's not much help around him. His offensive line isn't doing him too much help. His receiving core has been good. Sterling Shepard has been a highlight. He's been a heck of a football player this year. He's recorded 100 yards in his first game, and then 94, I believe, in this last one. So he's been incredible at the slot, getting open, running good routes, creating separation for Daniel Jones. So, those guys have been really doing a lot for New York, and it really sucks to see that Daniel Jones went down on this one, as he is putting in a good effort, especially with a lack of cast around him. But one part I would like to talk about is Kadarius Toney. I mentioned this in our primetime preview for the Thursday night game, for this game with Cameron and Jake, and I said get Kadarius Toney involved. Obviously, Saquon did play. That was, up in the air, but you didn't get him involved at all in this game. He had a few snaps or whatever, but you really didn't. You're not getting him involved like he was at Florida. He was their gadget guy in Florida. They manufactured touches for him. They got him open, and let him do his thing, which is make plays, on the run. He's just kind of a really shifty dude that once you give him the ball, he's going to make something happen. So you're not doing that for him. You didn't get him involved in this one, which could have hurt you really. I think he could be a big solution for the lack of the run game that New York's had this year so far. But Yeah, he's had some early frustrations with staff. Unfortunately, we saw a little bit of a social media post after that game. It's been cleared up a bit, but I think it's such a mistake to have left him out in that game. You gotta take advantage of what you got, and they just simply didn't do that. So, but yeah, what a heck of a game that was. 39-29, Washington obviously coming out on top with that game-winning field goal, which was, they missed the first time and then penalty, whatever. A whole debacle for New York once again. But regardless, what a game. What a way to start your division this year in NFC East. They look like they got a good group of football teams there, unlike last year. So it should be a little bit more competitive. So we'll see what we get down the line. But with that said, I'm going to get right into the Week 2 predictions. I'm going to start off with another divisional matchup, and that's the Panthers and the Saints. Both teams started off 1-0 with the Saints shock win over the Packers. What a win. I mean, it was 38-3. I mean, it's ridiculous. You just took down the reigning MVP like it was a piece of cake. It was just so impressive to see the Saints do that with Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback for this first week. But yeah, and then the Panthers also obviously went out and played a good football game. They slowed down in the second half, but overall it was a good first week for Darnold in that blue and silver. So, but regardless of the whole Darnold thing, I mean, he did look really good. Jameis Winston looked better for his team. So I'm going to take the Saints in this one. You just blew out the reigning MVP, a really strong Packers team, obviously a playoff contending team. So I think it's an easy choice here, taking the Saints over the Panthers. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be able to keep up. On to the next one. We're going to talk Bengals Bears. Another team. Bengals came out on top in a late victory in overtime. Pretty impressive win from Joey Burrow and that Bengals offense. They really had to grind that one out from Minnesota, and Minnesota did put in a heck of a game against them. So, and then the Bears team that got abolished on national television last Sunday night by the Rams. Man, that was a rough game to watch for any Bears fans. Specifically talking to my friend Jake here. He was on that episode. He didn't mention he was a Bears fan, but he's a big Bears fan. And, man, he was upset with that game. We were talking about it, and just for this very reason, I'm going to pick the Bengals. I just do not trust Dalton at all. I was optimistic with Dalton starting the year. If he came out, looked good against that Rams team, we would maybe have a different discussion, a lot different discussion here about this game. But he looked really bad. Not a single pass 18 yards or whatever, something like that, which is just ridiculous. You have Allen Robinson out there. He's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league, and you're not utilizing him. You're not throwing the ball. Yes, LA does have a good team, but a good defense, rather. A good team, yeah. But you got to throw the ball down the field. You got to take your chances. You can't play dink and dump all game. That was an awful idea for the Bears. So I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. Joe Burrow led a heck of a game last week alongside Joe Mixon and the rest of that offense. They got a bunch of playmakers, and I don't think the Bears are going to be able to keep up, especially with a secondary that looked really all out of sorts last week for the Bears. So, yeah, I'm taking the Bengals over the Bears in this one. On to the next one. We're going to talk Texans Browns. I think this one was pretty easy as well to go about talking. The Browns just came off of a close loss to Kansas City. Two Super Bowl contending teams went at it last week. Heck of a game. Awesome Week 1 game. And the Browns just came short. So I think this week they're going to bounce back big against this Texans team that I'm really not convinced much about their Week 1 win. I'm not convinced much about their roster. Heading into the rest of the season. Cameron, he's big on the team. It looks like he's probably one of the only fans out there, NFL fans, that are hyping this team up a little bit. But I just don't see it. That Texans roster is really depleted. They don't got much going on. And the defense, they played really well against Trevor Lawrence, rookie quarterback. But that's a lot different. You're going against You're going against Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, et cetera, et cetera. They got so many names on that offense. I don't know how you're going to stop them. It's not the same. You're not going against, like I said, you're not going against Trevor Lawrence, and that crew of James Robinson, Marvin Jones. It's just not. There's no comparison there. And that Texans defense, they're not going to be able to handle that. And that's what really had led the Texans to that victory, that Week 1 victory against Jacksonville. There's that defense. So I just don't see them hanging in this game at all. I think it's going to be a pretty brutal loss for the Texans in this one. And I do not want to see what Myles Garrett's going to do in this game. He's going to blanket Tyrod, I'm guessing. So, yeah, I'm taking the Browns over Texans in this one. Moving on to the next game, we got the Rams versus the Colts. I think this will be a heck of a matchup this week. You got your first mano-a-mano offensive lineman versus defensive lineman between Quentin Nelson and Aaron Donald. Probably the most hyped I've ever been about a offensive lineman going against one of the best defensive linemen in the league ever. Big Q against Aaron Donald. That's going to be the talking point of this one, obviously. A lot of people were talking about this one before the schedules, or as soon as the schedules drop. So, that's going to be a heck of a matchup between those two. And overall, the Rams offensive line versus the Rams defensive line against that Colts offensive line. Can they keep that Rams D-line off of Carson Wentz, keep him clean? That will really be what makes this game. But with that, I'm going to have this game as the upset of the week for me. I'm going to take the Colts over the Rams in this one. I think, unlike last week, the Colts are going to generate a running game. Jonathan Taylor wasn't off to a hot start last year in the running game. He did well in the past, but on the ground, he was not really a factor. So I say this week that Colts offensive line creates gaps all over the field for him to just burst through. And I think Carson will lead his team to his first ever victory in an Indianapolis Colts jersey. Hopefully the first of many. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Colts over the Rams, upset of the week. On to the next one. We're going to talk about the Broncos and the Jaguars. So, obviously, we have Trevor Lawrence coming in after a shaky, really questionable Week 1. I said it. I don't think he was as NFL ready as a lot of people thought. We saw him struggle quite a bit against a really, really weak Texans team. So we'll see what happens here. But you're going against a Broncos team that's, it's probably going to finish as a top 10 unit by the end of the year. So with that just being said, I'm going to take the Broncos or the Jaguars. I do hope Trevor performs better than last week. Maybe a bit of a bounce back, but I don't see him competing at a high enough level to take down a strong Broncos team. And we did see a lot of good from Teddy Bridgewater last week, especially with the run game backing him up. So that offense as a whole was pretty strong, a lot stronger than I predicted. So I'm looking forward to see what Teddy Bridgewater could do to that Jacksonville defense. And yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos in this one. So following that Broncos-Jaguars game, I'm going to talk about the Bills and the Dolphins, another divisional matchup, a boatload of divisional matchups this week, really. But we have the Buffalo Bills who fell to Pittsburgh last week in a really tough loss and a really weird loss overall. Both offenses looked really, really bad. Surprisingly, offense led by Josh Allen looks really questionable. Yes, Pittsburgh does have a really great defense, but we saw Josh Allen last year. He was an MVP candidate. Really weird loss for him. And then you have the Miami Dolphins, who came out in a very close victory over the New England Patriots, their divisional foe. So, this game could go both ways. You're talking about a team that beat another strong team, and then the Bills who fell just short. I'm going to take the Bills in this one. I think Josh Allen bounces back. He should have no problem with doing that. He did throw for 7 touchdowns to 1 interception in his 2 divisional matchups last year against Miami. So I don't see him really struggling there. And Miami, I'd say, had a better unit on defense last year than they did this year. So Josh Allen bounced back. Tua is going to struggle going against another good defense, second week in a row. And it's not like he was putting up numbers last week. So, yeah, I'm going to take Josh Allen and the Bills over Tua and the Dolphins. Moving on to the next one, same division, and talking about another divisional matchup, and another really good one, in my opinion. You got Zach Wilson and the Jets taking on Mac Jones and the Patriots. First rookie in division matchup I think we have this year. Quarterback, obviously, I mean. So, and I think it will be the first of many. I think these teams really picked up their franchise guys in this past draft. I got to say, they both looked really good. Probably the most impressive starting rookie quarterbacks we saw last week, in my opinion. But unlike Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson did not see ghosts, and I do not think he will see ghosts against this Patriots team. And with that said, I'm going to take the Jets over the Patriots here. The Jets did play a really, it was a weird game last week. First half, they struggled a lot against a strong Carolina defense, obviously. And then that second half, things just kind of turned around. Zach Wilson just snapped in and locked in into that game. He was obviously getting pressured a whole lot that game, but second half, he was maneuvering, looking better in that pocket, getting out of the trouble, throwing it on the run, making a bunch of great football plays out there. He's looking like a Kyler Murray. Dare I say Kyler Murray? Dare I say Patrick Mahomes? Dare I say Aaron Rodgers out there? He's looking like one of those guys. So just slinging the ball outside the pocket. Great second half. Almost led the Jets to a comeback. Obviously just falling short. And yeah, I think you build off that performance in the second half, and I think that's what's going to get the Jets this win. I think they have a lot of momentum heading into this one. And yes, I'm a fan of that Mac Jones-led offense for New England, but that Jets defense held Carolina 3 points in that second half. So I think that defensive unit is a lot better than what people think. They obviously have Robert Saleh, the former defensive coordinator in San Francisco, as their head coach. He's brought in a lot of defensive, mastermind over there. So that Jets unit on defense is a lot better than what people think. They'll have a tough time slowing down Mac Jones and a really strong running game from New England, but I'm going to take Jets in this one. Might be a little bit surprising, but I'm a big fan of Zach Wilson, if you've listened to this podcast. So I'm taking Zach Wilson to get his first NFL victory. Moving on to the next one that is going to be fun, I think. You have the 49ers and the Eagles. Eagles obviously took a big win over the Falcons last week. They were playing a trash Atlanta defense. I'm allowed to say that as a Falcons fan. That defense was horrible. And then you're on defense for Philadelphia's defense, they were taking on a glorified CFL offense. I mean, really, it was a really easy victory for them. Jalen Hurts looked like an absolute beast. I was so surprised to see him out there throwing dots around all over the field. It was incredible. They were literally playing a CFL team, a glorified CFL team. I'm not kidding you when I say that. Atlanta looked so bad. I cannot wait to talk about them in a little bit. But anyway, Eagles played a really bad football team. 49ers also played a really bad football team, but not as bad as the Falcons. And yeah, with that said, I'm going to just take the 49ers here. I think it's a safe pick. 49ers are easily a Super Bowl contender with a healthy team. 2 years off of that Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, last year it didn't go that way. They had a lot of injuries, so whatever. But they came back last week. They put up a bunch of points on the board. Defense did give up a lot of points, but I think if you play like you did in that first half against Detroit, you're going to be looking pretty good to win this football game against the Eagles. I'm still not a big fan of the Eagles, so yeah, I'm going to take the Niners and Garoppolo. And I'd like to mention Garoppolo played an excellent game last week. He does not want to give up that starting job to Trey Lance. Moving on, we're going to talk about the Raiders and the Steelers. Talked a little bit about Steelers before. Shock win, in my opinion, over the Bills. Would have taken the Bills any day. Would do it again. I would take them again any day. And then the Raiders taking a shock victory over the Baltimore Ravens. So you got two teams that won. Shocked me, and I think it's going to be a good matchup. But I'm going to take the Steelers in this one. Raiders heading into this one without Josh Jacobs. He's been crossed off the list early. Early reports from Bleacher Report, ESPN, he's got an ankle and toe injury, that's been nagging him all offseason or whatever. Played through it last week, so he's just going to be inactive for this one. So Derek Carr is going to be left to throw to his receivers, and Darren Waller, the unicorn. I'm taking that one from Kyle Pitts. He deserves that title. Darren Waller. Derek Carr is going to be throwing to Darren Waller and his receivers all game. Who's going to carry that backfield? No one. It's going to be Peyton Barber back there. I do not trust him against the Steelers front defensive line. You're going to have T.J. Watt rushing you the whole game. I mean, it's just going to be a mess for the Raiders. It's going to be an unbalanced football game for them. Don't know how they're going to pull out a shock win against the Steelers in this one. But if they do, they do. I'm going to take the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, T.J. Watt. That all offense, I think they're going to want to continue their winning and start the year 2-0 once again. Next one, Cardinals-Vikings. I'm going to say it straight off the bat. Cardinals are going to win this one. That defense was incredible last week. I cannot stress this enough. They played the best offense, in my opinion, the Tennessee Titans. And they held them to, 13 points? Unbelievable. They stopped their skill position players. I do not know what Minnesota is going to do in this one. I really do not. If the Cardinals play like they did last week, I do not want to imagine what's going to happen to Kirk Cousins in this one. They are going Brian O'Neill. Sorry, I'm not talking about Tyler O'Neill, the St. Louis, the Cardinals player on baseball. Whatever. Brian O'Neill got a big contract extension. That is their right tackle, I believe. Left tackle, right tackle, whichever one. They are going to regret giving him that contract, which made him the highest paid offensive lineman in the league, by the way. They're going to regret it because Chandler Jones is going to abuse him. We saw Chandler Jones last week, 5 sacks. It would not surprise me if this guy put up another 3 sacks or something crazy. He was unstoppable. I feel bad for Kirk Cousins. I feel bad for Dalvin Cook. Vikings have struggled with the offensive line in the past few years. That's been their main downfall. They're going to have a tough time in this one. I am taking the Cardinals all the way. Next one, going to talk about my Falcons taking on the Buccaneers. Falcons, like I said, they look like a Canadian Football League team. They did not look good at all. The first 2 drives, they were great. Rest of the game, they kind of just decided to stop playing football. Not really sure what happened. And they taking on defending Super Bowl champions. This is not going to go well for Atlanta. This is my lock of the week. Taking the Buccaneers here. It would not surprise me if Tom Brady threw like 3 touchdown passes in the first half. And then another point, I think Kyle Trask will be in by the fourth quarter, on all honesty. The Falcons have no chance in this game. They are a terrible football team. Atlanta Falcons fans, if you are listening, please come to terms with that already because we are not winning anything this year. Buccaneers all the way in this one. That is my lock of the week. Next game, I'm going to talk about the Chargers and the Cowboys. So you got 2 teams with 2 high-flying offenses. Obviously, Dallas led by Dak Prescott, who's thrown for like 400 yards in his past 3 games or something like that, which they've all lost, by the way. And you have Justin Herbert, a Herbert-led offense. He's got a ton of weapons. Dak's got a ton of weapons. It's gonna just be an offensive. Everybody's just gonna go at each other on offense. It's gonna be a high scoring game. Probably I would guess 30 points each for both teams. It's gonna really come down to whoever's gonna make a stop on defense. And for that reason, I'm gonna take the Chargers. I trust the Chargers defense a lot more than Dallas offense or Dallas defense. Sorry. Um, that's not to say that Dak's going to put up points regardless on this Chargers defense, but to get if I'm going to choose between one team's defense to get a stop, it's going to be the Chargers defense. I'm going to take them over the Cowboys in this one. The next game I'm talking about is Titans and Seattle Seahawks. One team that looked really good in week one team that looked awful in week one. Titans got demolished by the Cardinals. Seahawks demolished the Colts. Not really demolished, but yeah. If the Titans do not win this week, because it is a must win, really, in my opinion, they have to bounce back in this one. But if they do not, I do not know what went wrong this offseason. I thought they had a great they executed this offseason perfectly. They obviously added Julio Jones, you added a pass rusher in Bud Dupree, filled in a bunch of positions in the draft. But this is a must win for Tennessee. I think I already said it. I'm taking the Tennessee Titans in this one. Russell Wilson's gonna obviously put up a heck of a game. He threw for 4 touchdown passes last week. Probably going to throw for another 4 in this one. He does this, every year for the first 6-8 weeks of season. So, it's going to be it's going to be similar to the Cowboys Chargers game. It's going to be a lot of offense, really. 2 high-powered offenses going at it, and it will come down to whoever gets to stop. Russell usually, as you get further into a game, plays a little sloppy. I think something will happen there, and I think the Titans. Pass rush was really pretty good last week against the Cardinals, but obviously Kyler Murray was just, Kyler Murray escaping everywhere, whatever. Not to say that Russell will not be able to do that too, but I think maybe Russell gets a little sloppy at the end of the game. Titans can pull this one out. Big fan of that Titans team. They are my Super Bowl pick, obviously, so I'm going to take them in this. They must bounce back in this one. Titans over the Seahawks. And that is all the afternoon games, I believe. We will have a primetime preview again for the Sunday night game between Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens. Heck of a game that's going to be. Cannot wait to talk about that one. Cameron should be back for that one. We'll see. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this one. If you guys are enjoying our podcast, I've been having a heck of a time recording these, editing these, putting them out for you guys. So if you are enjoying these, please do subscribe. It means a lot. Please do like the video. Turn on notifications so you do not miss when we post these podcasts. I think we do a really good job. I'd love to hear more feedback in the comments. But yeah, that's all, guys. I really do appreciate all the support we've been getting. It does mean a lot to me and Cameron. So with that said, let's have a heck of a week 2 this Sunday. And I hope you guys enjoy the games. I'm sure will be. I'm going to be hanging out with a bunch of my friends. We're watching football all day, and hope that's what you guys are going to be doing as well. All right. Enjoy the games today, guys.